Okay guys, I hope you're doing good right now. I'm feeling pretty good and triumphant right now. Yeah, why? Because I just came off doing a video that I was hoping wouldn't be too long, and even though it was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, it was on the shorter side, so that made me really happy. Okay, but anyway, this video is called Why I Prefer the Liner Lock. Okay, which knives among these are liner locks? These are the liner locks. Okay, what's the next best? These, and then what's the next best? This, and then this, and then I think this is it. Yeah, we're good, I think. Yeah. Okay. So if you've been watching my previous videos, yeah, you probably know that I have an affinity for liner locks. Okay. That they surprised me, that they surpassed my expectations, and there are things that I thought I would like that I don't like. And I thought there were things that maybe weren't as good as they seemed, and they turned out to be as good as they were, or even better. Yeah. Okay, so kind of repeating here, but some concepts. All right. So I don't like assisted opening. Okay. I think there is a decent chance that you will never see me rate or use or show an assisted opening knife. Okay, so a knife that has a spring loaded somehow to help the knife go whoop like that, right? Or a knife where it's in the handle and it goes whoop, right? Okay, so that's just not my jam. Okay, I don't need that. I don't need something to go flying out quickly. Okay, I think I'm more than capable, perfectly able to um, to do that. Okay, um, and I know it's not about just doing that. Okay, I know there's a level of fun involved. Okay, so assisted opening, not my jam. Okay. And then the second thing that is not really my jam, yeah, is, sorry guys, I'm thinking, okay. Another thing that is not really my jam is just ease of use, okay, or for things to happen super easily and super effortlessly. Okay, and that surprised me. Okay, I thought that the more easily something could do that, and the more easily something could do this, and the less effort it took to do this, and the less effort it took to do this, I thought that that would mean that it would be a more fidgety thing. Okay, so I associated loose flying around parts with fidget satisfaction. Okay, and that was a incorrect, what is the word? An incorrect connection, I guess, or equation. Okay, I've learned that something can be extremely fidgety, like this. Like, that's slow. It's deliberate. It's safe. Okay? But loose and fast, I've learned, doesn't mean it's more fidgety, and it doesn't mean it's more satisfying. Okay. Okay. What else? Okay. Deliberateness. I mentioned that word a lot, but also effort. Okay. So it seemed like for a little while that low effort, this is not low effort by the way, the fact that I gotta go from here to here, okay, that's not low effort. That is not low effort. Okay, but the point is, well, this is low effort. Yeah, boom, 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 boom. Okay, but the point I'm trying to make is low effort also doesn't equate to high levels of satisfaction. Okay, and I think the reason is there is a level of I guess lack of control, yeah, that for me diminishes the sensation and joy. Okay, so yeah, you guys already know something doesn't have to be fast for it to be fidgety, and something doesn't have to be low effort for it to be enjoyable. Okay, and that's where this liner lock falls in. Okay, to me, I like this the most. Okay, my finger, when I want to close a knife, you'd be surprised by how often my brain doesn't process that the knife is in a liner lock. Okay, there's been so many knives, not like this one, where I've done this. Okay, where I've I've reached for a liner that wasn't there. Okay, I've done it with all of these knives, like for real, especially the Spyderco. Okay, there's been so many times where I've gone whoop, and I'm like, oh yeah, the mechanism's not here. Okay, so one reason I like the liner lock is this is where I naturally go. This is where my body assumes something is going to be. Okay, and sometimes it's not there, much to my dismay. Okay, makes me sad when it's not there. Okay, although this is great. This is great. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So one, this is where I just want to go for it. Okay. All right. So that's one reason for my liking the liner lock. Okay. Why would I like a liner lock more than a frame lock? Okay. When the release is in the exact same spot. Okay. So with a frame lock, some people would argue, and they wouldn't be wrong. Okay. I would agree with them that the release is in the same spot. Okay, you push a tab in the same place. Okay, but that the frame lock is harder to manufacture. It's more robust. Okay, and that you have a bigger chunk of metal that's holding the blade in place. Okay, again, I wouldn't disagree with that. That is a completely fair, accurate, and true statement, right? So these are definitely siblings or cousins, or probably siblings. Yeah. So why not the frame lock? Okay, you know, if I'm honest, I think there's two reasons. Okay, and one reason is good, and one reason I don't think is good. Okay. I think one reason that I don't like the frame lock, well, I do, I love the frame lock, but that I don't like it as much as a liner lock, is kind of to just be argumentative with the fanboys. Yeah, so this locking system has a lot of fanboys. Yeah, people who are like, oh yeah, you know, that's the greatest thing that's ever been invented. That is the most robust, best system. And it's great. It's really good, guys. Okay. But I don't think my thing needs to be bent out of this thing. I prefer for it to not, yeah, for them to not take this thing, slice it, bend it, make sure it stays springy and bent there. I don't need that. Okay. Although I like it. Right. So that's my not good reason. Yeah, to just fight with fanboys. Okay. My good reason is I think this is more than adequate. Okay. I think functionally this is not vastly inferior to this. Okay. And in terms of it being hidden, okay, and not a part of my scale on this side, well, that's something I appreciate. Yeah. Okay. I get that this is kind of cool, but I've never really liked feeling it or looking at it. Okay, this is more discreet. Okay, perhaps less cool looking. Okay, perhaps much thinner. Okay, but perhaps more modest. Perhaps. Okay, so yeah, to me, a frame lock and a liner lock are basically the same thing, but for very small reasons. I like the liner lock more. Okay, why do I like it more than a back lock? The back lock, okay, I'm gonna do something more dangerous than I usually do. Okay, I can borderline fire this, guys. But I can't. Okay, we will try middle finger. Oh, I did it. Okay, all right. Okay, so back locks, guys, aren't really made to be flipped open. Okay, liners definitely can and will and do. Yeah, but also the back lock, you are dealing with a spring. Yeah, and so there's always that, when you're closing it, there's that final snap. Yeah, snap. Okay, so you don't actually get to guide it all the way. Okay, the spring wants to take over. In terms of a liner lock, there is a spring, but it's going this way. Yeah, and if the pressures are perfect, this feeling is the best feeling to me in the world of knives. That, yeah, okay. And I don't even think I really need to go into why I prefer a liner over all of these guys. Okay, I actually like for my finger to be in the way of the blade, to remind myself to not have my finger in the way of the blade. Okay, so I like the locking mechanism to be in the danger zone. I really do. Okay, and all of these have it on the other side. Okay, but so far I haven't really met a liner lock that is truly okay. There's some pretty loose ones and there's some pretty like swivelly, pivoty ones. Okay, but I've never met, yeah, a liner lock so far that is truly like drop shot. Maybe from here, yeah, it'll drop shot. Okay, especially if it's got a heavy blade and bearings or something. Okay, but I've never seen a liner lock that will drop shut from here. Okay, yeah, because I just think that the mechanism at play doesn't allow for that. Yeah, okay, so yeah, I have a system, yeah, you guys know, where I like a deliberate open, I like a deliberate break, I like a deliberate guide. Yeah, and it's great, it's fine if a knife can do that. Okay, but for control and safety, yeah, again, I've learned that knives are just as fun to play with, to open and to close slowly, as they are to open and close quickly. Okay, so the benefit that these guys provide is not a benefit that I need, and nor is it a benefit that I necessarily enjoy. Okay, it's the weirdest thing, you know. It's the weirdest thing. I know we're talking about locking system, but after I got this knife, I really was convinced and really thought that the flipper might be the way to go. Okay, because it seemed like it would be the most enjoyable thing to fire, and the easiest thing to fire. Okay, and I know that there are flippers that are also liners. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna make a video on this. Yeah, so guys, if you want to know my preferred deployment, it's actually a hole. Yeah, okay, so as much as I love this knife and I love its thumb studs, I like a hole even more. So, okay, anything else to say? You know, not really. Okay, Hopefully I covered everything, and that's why I like a liner lock the most.